An e-hailing driver burned alive. Another shot in the stomach. A taxi set alight in retaliation. This isn't a movie scene. This is Soweto, 2025. And once again, Maponya Mall has become the front line of South Africa's deadly turf war. Tonight, we're going deep into what happened, why it keeps happening, and what it means for every South African who uses public transport. Here's what we know. 2 e-hailing drivers were ambushed outside Maponya Mall. One never made it out, trapped inside his burning car. The other managed to escape, but not before being shot in the stomach. He's in hospital right now, fighting for his life. And less than 24 hours later, a minibus taxi was torched just meters away. Witnesses say the driver was dragged out by a mob before the vehicle was set alight. This isn't just violence. This is war. A war between industries fought on the streets of Soweto. This hits hard. These are not criminals. They are ordinary men, just trying to make a living. Imagine leaving your home to work, driving someone to a mall only to be ambushed, shot, or burned alive. We've normalized violence in South Africa so much that it becomes just another headline. But behind that headline is a family that's just lost a father, a son, or a brother. Behind that headline is a child who will never see their parent come home. This isn't new. In fact, Maponya Mall has been a hotspot for this feud for years. In June 2023, multiple cars were torched here, allegedly by taxi operators. After months of negotiations, mall management, e-hailing operators, and taxi associations agreed that e-hailing drivers could safely pick up and drop off passengers. That agreement? Clearly meaningless. This is the classic taxi versus e-hailing battle we've seen across the country. Taxi operators argue that Uber and Bolt drivers are stealing their passengers. E-hailing drivers argue that consumers deserve choice. Instead of healthy competition, we get violence, and Soweto residents are trapped in the middle. If you speak to locals, they'll tell you this. People are terrified. Mall-goers don't know if it's safe to order a ride. E-hailing drivers are scared to pick up passengers at shopping centers. Even taxi drivers, who claim to be defending their industry, are now facing retaliation attacks. So here's the irony. This violence isn't protecting jobs, it's destroying them. Maponya Mall risks losing shoppers. Drivers lose income, families lose loved ones, and all of us lose trust in public safety. Let's talk money, because that's what this is really about. An Uber or Bolt trip is cheaper and more convenient for many people. Taxi operators see this as a direct threat to their bread and butter, but instead of adapting, they resort to intimidation and violence. And here's the kicker, e-hailing isn't going anywhere. In fact, more South Africans are using these apps every year, which means unless government steps in, we're looking at more violence, more killings, and more economic disruption. And here's what makes me furious. Why do we always wait for bodies to pile up before we see action? When the violence broke out, the SNDF had to step in. Soldiers, not just police, soldiers, had to order taxi operators to remove road blockades. Think about that. In a so-called democracy, it takes the military to stop a local transport feud. Where are the police before the attacks happen? Where is the intelligence? Where are the arrests? Every time we hear the same tired line, police have launched an investigation. Investigations don't bring back lives. Here's the thing. South Africa isn't the first country to face this battle. In Kenya, Uber drivers faced violent taxi protests, but government eventually regulated both sides. In London, traditional black cab drivers protested Uber's arrival, but it stayed peaceful. The courts handled it, not the streets. In Nigeria, clashes erupted, but authorities cracked down on violence with strict enforcement. So why is South Africa different? Why do our disputes always end in bloodshed? The answer is simple. The taxi industry here has been allowed to operate above the law for decades. So, what's the way forward? Stronger law enforcement. Government has to stop treating the taxi industry as untouchable. Violence must mean jail time. Regulation. Create clear rules for both taxis and e-hailing and enforce them equally. Safe zones. Establish safe pickup and drop-off zones at malls and taxi ranks with police or security enforcement. community dialogue, bring residents into the conversation, because ultimately, it's the people who suffer most. But none of this will work if government leaders don't grow a backbone and stop bowing to taxi unions every election season. At the end of the day, what happened at Maponya Mall is more than a transport feud. It's a reflection of South Africa's deeper problem. We normalize violence instead of fixing the root causes. A man burned alive, another shot in cold blood, a taxi torched in retaliation, and the cycle will continue until leadership steps in and says, enough. The question is, do we even believe that will happen? What do you think? Should government deploy the army permanently around hotspots like Maponya Mall? Should e-hailing drivers arm themselves for protection? Or is the only solution political willpower, forcing the taxi industry to finally play by the rules? Drop your thoughts below. Let's talk about it. Because this isn't just about drivers, it's about every South African who just wants to get home safely. This has been my deep dive reaction to the Maponya Mall violence. Rest in peace to the driver who lost his life, strength to those injured, and may South Africa finally find the courage to stop this endless war on our streets.
We are sick and tired of what is happening now in Maponya Mall. Maponya Mall is not for the first time this thing is happening here. 2 people are shot, rushed to the hospital, and the other one is dead there. Right there, dead inside the car, an Uber driver. So, as a community, it is us, the community, who protected Maponya Mall. But the Maponya Mall management is underestimating the community. They don't want to do what the community wants. They don't want to listen to us. So now it's time that usaba nokuba ugwala ukuthi sizawudutshula soyenzani kuphela, because some of our kids nabogogo bazodutshulwa la ngaphakathi bathi bagibela ama-Uber ama-taxi. We are not part of this thing that is happening, but we are saying for the lives of the community, Maponya Mall tomorrow morning must be closed. Sikali community be la extend as early as 4 o'clock in the morning. By 4 o'clock in the morning, every community member magazela sizovala this mall. We are sick and tired of what is happening in Maponya Mall. Anyone to say something?
Welcome to the fire where the stakes ignite, where the questions burn hotter than the night. No escape once you're locked in the heat. This is your trial on the hot seat.